Sometimes in the corporate world, people go to sleep a little bit in the month of December and then they stroll back into work in January. But what we see a lot is that they just roll into the next year. It's like you make it through the holiday season and then you just start the next calendar year without taking the time to review.
Coming in feeling empowered and intentional in 2026, because this is going to be a game-changing year. That's money and time on the table right there. Welcome to Built4Profit Podcast, where entrepreneurs share real stories and strategies that actually work.
We're here to inspire, challenge, and give you the playbook to profit with purpose. Let's get into it.
Let's do it. Hello and welcome to Built4Profit. Today we're in the season.
We are. We wore our special sweaters.
I think there's Santa Claus things going on.
I know. Well, Shay's got snowmen and I've got gingerbread men. So we're feeling very festive and we wanted to bring some festive knowledge to our favorite people, the business owners.
Yeah, as everybody's probably not as focused on business, maybe a little bit hybrid of activities and kind of distraction. We don't want you to lose total distraction and lose opportunity.
One of the things that we joke about is that it's like, okay, sometimes in the corporate world, sometimes people go to sleep a little bit in the month of December and then they stroll back into work in January. And, since we've always worked with entrepreneurs, that's not the style. Like they're going hardest sometimes.
This could be a busy season, really.
Yes.
So wakey.
But what we see a lot is that they just roll into the next year. It's like you make it through the holiday season, you make it through that busy season, and then you just start the next calendar year. And without taking the time to review, reset, let alone rest, but just take a look at your numbers, and not just numbers, but it kind of reminds me of, think about a sports team. The very next thing that they do after a game is they go back and watch film. Or a business has a conference. What's their next meeting right afterwards? A debrief on how the conference went. So lots of times, business owners are ending their year so busy and they kind of think about like, man, I want this to be different next year, but they never just sit down, pen to paper, write it out, review, actually go off some data and start the year fresh. And if you're sitting down January 1st to do it, you're a little bit behind.
Yeah, you're behind the game.
Yeah. So we don't want you to leave this episode with homework. We want you can pause us, write things down, but by the time that you're done listening to this, which is a short one for you, so you're welcome, you should have that clarity, or you should at least know a couple things that you need to look at.
Kind of rules of engagement. Don't pause us when our mouth is open and we look funny. But you're absolutely right. And it's just taking a moment, coming in, feeling empowered and intentional in 2026, because this is going to be a game-changing year. There's a lot of good things lined up and we'll talk about that. But let's talk about you right now. Open up the books, I guess you could say, for lack of a better expression, and let's let the numbers tell some stories.
So we have 3 frameworks for them today, right? 3 things to look at.
Not overwhelming. No.
All right.
I'm not overwhelmed.
I'm not overwhelmed.
Okay,
either.
we got this.
First one is looking at the books.
Let's talk about numbers, right? Because the numbers tell a story. What is your profit margin? Not the revenue that you brought in, but what have you actually made profitable? What's in your bank account? And what's it doing? And do you have plans for it? Is it in a budget? I know I said the B word so early in the beginning of this, and it's throwing it out there, knowing and making sure your money is doing what it needs to be doing, and that what you're making, bottom line profit margin. Cash flow. Are you on the revenue roller coaster, or is it inconsistency? Do you have seasons in your business? I mean, some are seasonal. We have different brands that we visited with, right? They've been guests on the show. And they're like very seasonal businesses. How do you level that out, or how do you plan for it?
Yeah.
Making sure that you don't have that feeling in your stomach where you're like, oh, last month was great, and this month we're going in a little wild card, right?
So if someone is on that roller coaster, what sort of things could they look at? Say they're not seasonal.
Okay.
What are we looking at to see? Why is that the case? Why was May great and October wasn't?
And really understanding what was different about that month. Did you try something different? Did you pull something back? Was it staff? Was it the environment? I mean, who knows? But really understanding what made it that way. Because if it was a really good month, you want to do more of that. If it wasn't such a good month, you probably want to take that off as an option. And then also just the simplistic things as you're wrapping up the end of the year, making sure you did not leave money on the table. And you know how I feel about that. I'm sorry you had to hear this over and over again, but I can count on my hands the amount of businesses I've gone into and not found money opportunity on the table.
Right. You're always finding that when you're talking with someone.
It's just strategies, because it's hard to know everything. So there's always like like a checks and balance. I mean, who wants to read tax code and know all the new legislation? I mean, there's a lot on the table right now. And, do you need to know all 1,000 pages of it? Probably not. But is there something relevant to you in your industry?
Yes.
And so those are opportunities as well. And having the conversations at the end of the year and knowing the strategies with your CPA before, because some things are timely. Some things are in a calendar year for taxes, and just knowing what is and what isn't, and making sure your CPA is being proactive with you. Because if you ask better questions, you get better results and better answers. And I think sometimes just making sure you show up and either give them the information they need to help you more, or that they're asking the right questions. What can your business do to take care of you and your family this year? Or what opportunities are if you have profit margins, where it needs to go?
And the numbers can be emotional. We talk about that a lot. As you're looking at these, know that
Scary, emotional, whatever word you want to use.
yeah. And if you did amazing, that can make you feel like you're on a high and you're just going to roll into the next year doing the same thing. But if you're not clear on exactly what you did different this year to bring those results, great or not great, then you can't repeat them or choose something to change.
And you always say you're going to make different decisions based on those emotions. If I'm feeling bullish, I'm going in a different way. If I have that scarcity or that fear around some of this, or questioning, right? And we also talk a lot about patterns, right? The patterns that produce profit or not. Sometimes it's changing the systems, not always the behavior. Maybe it's even the mindset, but there's a pattern that creates results, good or bad, or even the ones you want or the ones you don't want. And you know your own story. And we're just here to kind of brainstorm with you and plant some seeds, reacting to things as opposed to planning. You hear a lot in some of the small businesses that we talk to about tariffs. And we had a little conversation about a business owner. I won't mention any names. And, he was talking a lot about the tariffs and just the anxiety and all things that went with it. And I said, your competitors are having the same tariffs on their products, correct? He's like, oh yeah. I was like, okay. So really, unfortunately, or good or bad, that's going to go down to the end user, the customer, right? You increase your prices and you're going to still be competitive with your competitors. You're all in the same bubble. And he's like, well, I never really thought of it that way. So I just thought it was interesting. Sometimes you just need to stop and go, okay, let's think about this, because it was a very emotional mindset that he had about something out of his control affecting his business.
Yeah.
And I'm like, no, you have control of how you respond to this. So just things like that. Pricing, doing too many things. Not hiring soon enough. All been guilty of that. Welcome to the team, Vanessa. Just throwing that out there. And you probably have some other ideas to that too.
Yes. Take a look at your calendar. It's so much easier to just go off data instead of just sitting there trying to think through what that could be. Pull up your calendar. And if it's empty, then you were probably spending a lot of time in reaction mode last year. You didn't have things planned out, didn't have time blocked. And then if you pull up that calendar and you've got it full of activities, dive into it. What type of activities? Are they revenue generating activities? Because if you had a full calendar, but they weren't, then which of those can you outsource? You get to start making decisions based on that data. And I know I want you to share your favorite calendar tip, because I think it's so helpful.
Color code. It sounds simple because you can just visually look at your calendar and see if you're out of whack. Because balance is, a key word nowadays. However, you need to have, I think you always say, but at least 70% in revenue generating activities. However that is, top of the funnel, into the funnel, something that's generating revenue. So that's green. Maybe you have family time, planning time, you group like activities together, time management. I used to joke with the advisors and say, show me your calendar and I show you your paycheck.
Yep.
And we have a tendency to default to the things that we like.
Yes, the things that we like, and usually the things that are put in front of us, like on fire, need done. One of the things that's coming to mind here is I was having a conversation with a business owner this week, and tying back to this, our first point was the numbers. Right? Review your numbers, know your numbers, and you make your decisions differently. They tell you a story. They are your roadmap. This point, number 2, is tied to your behaviors. And one of the biggest things that I have seen, and I kind of want to know if you're seeing the same, is that most entrepreneurs need to implement more systems. The conversation I was having this week with a seasoned entrepreneur, but she's taking on new things. And she was like, I know I need these different systems. And I know I need, if I could get this in place for customer service, it would bring different results here. But I'm spending all my time fulfilling orders and responding to things that I don't have time to research and figure out a new system. And that's a story of every entrepreneur at some point, is that you're spending so much time in it instead of, it might be a significant amount of time it takes to figure that out. But once a system is in place, it saves hours week over week over week.
And sometimes the collapse of time that AI can give you in helping you figure out, go research best practices on these things can be done in minutes.
Yes.
So it's a resource for sure. And if you're not utilizing it or putting it in touching your business in some way, even as a think tank, like you said, research, you're missing opportunity.
Yeah.
Right? That's money and time on the table right there. Because time equates to money in business for sure.
Yes. All right. And the last thing that we're going to talk about is probably our favorite.
Mindset, the stories you say in your mind, your subconscious compass, if you will.
Yeah.
And you already know what they are and you know yours. And we all have them.
We do.
And it's something you got to guard your mind with, the scarcity mindset. I never have enough time. How many times we hear that as a business owner?
So often. And if you aren't sure on what it is, like if someone really is like, I don't know, start paying attention and listening to the thing that you're constantly probably not even saying out loud. Sometimes you are. That one we hear verbally a lot, but sometimes it's like, oh, I just can't figure out this marketing. Oh, I just can't figure out this market. Oh, my market is too small. It's the busy season. No one's getting back. I could list out about 100 of them right now if we needed to. But those are the stories that we start embedding in our brain. So what is it that you're constantly like the reasoning behind why something isn't happening? That's your cue. That's your red flag.
And is it something that you intentionally want to have that program, or do you want to reprogram it? Everything of sells cures all things. We hear that a lot too. If I just do more, but if you got leakage in the back, it doesn't work that way. So, I can't increase my prices. There's too many competition. There's always something. And if it's in a negative light, that's what you're going to bring more to you.
Absolutely. And your brain is fantastic, but it works to prove you correct. So if you're telling yourself a negative story like that, I'm just not good with money. That might not sound like it's a negative story, but it is. And your brain will constantly look for ways. Oh, Shay, you're not good with money. All right, let me prove you right, because it wants to help us. So you reframe that into a positive story. I'm getting better with money every day. And this year I'm having the most profit I've ever had.
Right.
And that doesn't feel like it's a lie to your brain, right? Your brain isn't going to hear it and say, well, that's not true. As opposed to like if you just said, I'm fantastic with money, and that it might question. So you frame it with something that is, I'm getting better with money every day. And this year is my highest year of profits. Your brain will start looking for ways to make that correct and show that to you.
Yeah. And not being fearful of the numbers, or I don't understand them. I don't know what they mean. I don't know reports
I'm not
to
good
run.
with numbers is probably one of the most common things we hear too.
But your numbers need to be your friend. So think about this year, I'm going to make friends with my numbers. I'm going to like my numbers. That could be fun.
Yeah.
Bring them to a meeting. Take them out to lunch.
Exactly. And that's a great point. Those are the three areas that if you bring the light to and you choose what do you want to start, stop, continue in those different areas, your 2026 will be different. You will show up differently because you know the numbers, you've identified one behavior to change, and you now know the story that you're going to shift or something that you're going to say different. And, when it comes to just sitting down and doing this, look for ways that you can make it fun. It depends on, if you have a team, maybe that means you're doing a year-end review meeting, and it doesn't have to be a stuffy, like in the conference room type meeting. Put up pictures of highlights from the last year, go through them, talk about everyone's favorite moment or favorite achievement that happened, bring in food, and then, dive into the numbers and some of those different things. And if it's just you, if you run your business and then you've got your team, but they're not really decision makers, this meeting is with you, and maybe you're doing it at a coffee shop or in front of the fireplace with a glass of wine. Like, make a way for it to be inviting and for you to just dive into this in a judgment-free zone.
Right. The exciting part about a new year, there's something mental about it's like a clean piece of paper. It's a new start. It's maybe new year, all the cool things that go with it, and not limit yourself. If you had to go out there and just put something, this is what I want to do or see happen, and then back into it and think the strategies, and they're not tattoos. You can move them around. But I think, a business plan or things of this sort, just really taking time to know where you are, because it's just like when you go to the mall and they have those signs, Elizabeth, and they say, you are here. You got to know where you are to get to where you want to be.
Yep.
And we see a lot of people that are so busy, they do not take time to just go, this is where we are. What's your biggest profit on a product or a service, or which one, or how do I get more clients, or there's so many things, just to stop and take a moment, know where you are, and then have that opportunity to come out strong January 1st. Get ahead of the competition.
Yep.
If they're not having a plan, you be the person with a plan, and jump out there and be excited about making it better, different, new and improved. So let's make that happen in 2026.
Yes. And That's our focus as well. You know, we've been hearing it nonstop from the business owners. And so that is why we are hosting a free live training January 14th. We have the registration below, but we have it open for franchisees to attend. So it's a free event. We are kicking off the year with a strong energy and excitement for what we know that this year brings. And we decided share it.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's make some impact. Let's really support that entrepreneurial spirit. You need to be there. You have everything to gain, nothing to lose. It's an hour of your time that can make an impact to your bottom line. I think that even rhymes.
Yep, absolutely.
You heard it today from Shay.
Goodness. So click the link below. It's hosted by Shay and myself. We are live. We are there with you. We did not record this ahead of time. We will be there sharing advice, sharing tactics, answering your questions. We'll see you there on January 14th.
And the name of it is?
It's the Profit Playbook for 2026. How much does it cost?
It's free.
Free for you to attend.
Yeah, there you go. Doesn't everybody want a playbook for profit?
I certainly do.
So come get yours. Don't have FOMO.
We'll see you then. As we wrap up 2026, we wanted to say truly, we're grateful to have you here and we're thankful for that. We're also proud of you. Not many people take time out of their day, especially busy entrepreneurs like you, to make themselves better, to drive their business in a different way, to learn something, to make some changes and to say, hey, I want to do better than that and I want to learn. And so we're proud of you for being there. And we're thankful to have you part of the IQ for Profit, Built for Profit community that we have built here. So we're looking forward to heading into a strong 2026.
Absolutely. Thanks for letting me be a part of your journey and being a resource for you. We're looking forward to much continued success and 2026 being the best year yet.
We'll see you there.
Happy holidays.
Oh my gosh.